So there were planned moments where participants were asked to reflect, answer questions, offer ideas, explain, give examples, etc. This organization happened to be police, law enforcement. And of course, at this moment in time, that's a pretty targeted group, right? I mean, there's a lot of publicity, news stories, and protests about police violence. And so working with a police organization was perhaps particularly rife, right, with the potential for misunderstandings and defensiveness. And so we started from the premise that we're all human beings and that, they have a job to do, and that as humans in particular places, we all have interactions that work better or don't work so well based on respect and trust. And so that's where we started. And for me, as a trainer, I don't come from the place where I think I'm the expert. Rather that I have studied, from a scholarly perspective, much of this work. But there was a moment in this particular training where I had an aha moment. And so I approach, I'm also a college professor, I approach education from the point of view that I have as much to learn as the participants do. And so there was a moment where we were talking about being a targeted person as a person from a particular social category. So we were talking about African Americans and how their interaction with police is often from the position of feeling stress, right? Not trusting and right, having to negotiate that and like the physical experience of it. And when we were going through the common responses, right, on the part of a targeted group, African Americans, Black folks, from the police. One of the officers said, we had a list of feelings, right, like feeling stressed, doubting yourself, being unwilling to take a risk. And the police officer said, do you know that those are the exact same things that police officers are reporting right now? That in their work, right, they're feeling stress, distrust, unwilling to take risks, and that their trainings, right, as police officers are centered around those notions of chronic stress. And it was an aha moment for me that the current feeling, right, of being a police officer is also of being a targeted group. And so I had this aha moment where I thought if we could get police officers to see that their physical experience of policing right now is the same physical response that African Americans have in interacting with the police, that their reactions are more similar than different, and that it wasn't, this clash that the news is, like here's the police and, here's, Black lives, and that they're at opposite, antagonistic positions, but rather they're experiencing the same darn things, right? This is what stress does. This is what racism does. This is what, bias does. It was just a really awesome moment for me as a trainer to see, whoa, this is the same stuff going on. So not only was it a successful workshop for me because I learned something, we had participants who were engaged, interactive, asked great questions like this, officer was making connections. And we received a thank you note from the chief that said, awesome job. This was not what we expected. We were, basically seen as human beings and not, told from the get-go that we were racists. And so it was a pretty awesome training.